Board of Commissioners meeting to order at 9 a.m. Tuesday, June 21st, 2020. And will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Snyder?
Here.
Glazer?
Here.
Twilliger?
Here.
Geisler?
Here.
Dorian?
Here.
Nosen?
Here.
Chairman Bone.
Here.
7 present, 0 absent.
Ask Commissioner Twilliger to lead us in the invocation and the pledge, please.
Heavenly Father, we seek your blessings on the task before us. We pray that you will bless our efforts with clear insight, our deliberations with wisdom, our work with clarity and accuracy, and our decisions with impartiality. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for January 7th and January 14th, 2020.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend we approve the minutes.
Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Okay, we will approve the minutes for January 7th and January 14th, 2020, and move on to the acceptance of the bills.
We have 4 sets of bills today. Properly addressed general bank claims for the week of 2/2 through 2/6, $535,182.09.
12-2.
I'm sorry. 12/2,
Not-
12/6. Sorry. 535,182.09. Total general fund expenditures, $77,024.30. General bank claims for the week of 12/9 through 12/13, $745,335.30, with total general fund expenditures, $47,747.20. General bank claims for the week of 12/16 through 12/20, $195,926.22, with total general fund expenditures, $23,554.73. Claims for the week of 12/23 through 12/27, $247,251.33, with total general fund expenditures, $84,706.43.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend we pay the bills we've already paid.
Support.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. We will pay the bills. We do not have a special program of the day today. So at this point, I'd ask, is there any public comment on anything that is not on our agenda today? Any public comment? Seeing none, and will you read committee report number 1, please?
Dated January 16th, 2020, properly addressed, ladies and gentlemen. We, your Administration and Operations Committee, recommend approval of the business associate agreement between the Midland County Health Department and 1016 Recovery Network. This agreement is in accordance with HIPAA and HITECH laws. Respectfully submitted, James Geisler, Chairperson, Scott Nosen, Eric Dorian, Administration and Operations Committee.
Commissioner Geisler.
Mr. Chairman, the A&O Committee recommends the adoption of Agenda Item 2-1-20.
Do we have any public comment on this item? Any commissioner discussion? And call roll, please.
Commissioner Twilliger.
Yes.
Geisler.
Yes.
Dorian.
Yes.
Nosen.
Yes.
Snyder.
Yes.
Glazer. Chairman Bone.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, motion carries.
Committee report number 2, please.
Dated January 16th, properly addressed, ladies and gentlemen, we, your Administration and Operations Committee, recommend approval of the business associate agreement between the 42nd Circuit Court for the County of Midland and 1016 Recovery Network. This agreement is in accordance with HIPAA and high-tech laws. Respectfully submitted, James Geisler, Chairperson, Scott Nosen, Eric Dorian, Administration and Operations Committee.
Commissioner Geisler.
Mr. Chairman, the A&O Committee recommends adoption of Agenda Item 3-1-20.
Do we have any public comment on this item? Any commissioner discussion? And call roll, please.
Commissioner Geisler.
Yes.
Dorian.
Yes.
Nosen.
Yes.
Snyder.
Yes.
Glazer.
Yes.
Twilliger.
Yes.
Chairman Bone.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, motion carries.
Committee report number 3, please.
Dated January 16th, properly addressed, ladies and gentlemen, we, your Administration Operations Committee and the Finance Committee, have reviewed the request to approve the receipt of a grant in the amount of $10,000 under the 2017 Homeland Security Grant Program. This grant award will be used to replace the generator on the Midland County Mobile Command Vehicle. We recommend approval of the grant and the administrator controller be authorized to make the necessary budget adjustments. Respectfully submitted, James Geisler, Chairperson, Scott Noson, Eric Dorian, Administration Operations Committee, Scott Noson, Chairperson, James Geisler, Jeanette Snyder, Finance Committee.
Commissioner Geisler.
Mr. Chairman, the A&O Committee recommends adoption of Agenda Item 4-1-20.
Commissioner Noson.
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee also recommends adoption of Agenda 4-1-20.
Do we have any public comment on this item? Commissioner discussion? And call roll, please.
Commissioner Dorian?
Yes.
Noson?
Yes.
Snyder?
Yes.
Glazer?
Yes.
Twilliger?
Yes.
Geisler?
Yes.
Chairman Bone?
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, motion carries.
Committee report number 4, please.
Dated January 16th, 2020, properly addressed, ladies and gentlemen, we, your Administration and Operations Committee and the Finance Committee, have reviewed the request to approve the receipt of a grant in the amount of $3,200 from the Mary C. Curry Foundation. This grant will provide for online training courses for the parks, mosquito control, and facility employees. We recommend the approval of the grant and that the Administrator Controller be authorized to make the necessary budget adjustments. Respectfully submitted, James Geisler, Chairperson, Scott Noson, Eric Dorian, Administration Operations Committee, Scott Noson, Chairperson, James Geisler, Jeanette Snyder, Finance Committee.
Commissioner Geisler.
Mr. Chairman, the A&O Committee recommends the adoption of Agenda Item 6-1-20.
Commissioner Noson.
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee also recommends adoption of Agenda Item 6-1-20.
Do we have any public comment on this item? Commissioner discussion? And call roll, please.
Commissioner Noson,
Yes.
Snyder,
Yes.
Glazer,
Yes.
Twilliger,
Yes.
Geisler,
Yes.
Dorian,
Yes.
Chairman Bone.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, motion carries.
Committee report number 5, please.
Dated January 16th, 2020, properly addressed, ladies and gentlemen, we, your Administration Operations Committee and the Finance Committee, have reviewed the agreement for property assessment administration services with the City of Midland. Under this agreement, the county will allow the equalization director to perform services as appointed assessor of record to the city, and the city agrees to pay $25,000 annually for these services. We recommend the approval of the agreement and the Administrator Controller be authorized to make the necessary budget adjustments. Respectfully submitted, James Geisler, Chairperson, Scott Noson, Eric Dorian, Administration and Operations Committee, Scott Noson, Chairperson, James Geisler, Jeanette Snyder, Finance Committee.
Commissioner Geisler.
Mr. Chairman, the A&O Committee recommends the adoption of Agenda Item 7-1-20.
Commissioner Noson.
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee also recommends adoption of Agenda Item 7-1-20.
Do we have any public comment on this item? Commissioner discussion? And call roll, please.
Commissioner Snyder?
Yes.
Glazer?
Yes.
Twilliger?
Yes.
Geisler?
Yes.
Dorian?
Yes.
Noson?
Yes.
Chairman Bone?
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, motion carries.
Committee report number 6, please.
Dated January 16th, 2020, properly addressed, ladies and gentlemen, we, your Finance Committee, recommend approval of the proposed adjustments to the 2020 budget for known variances. Respectfully submitted, Scott Noson, Chairperson, James Geisler, Jeanette Snyder, Finance Committee.
Commissioner Noson.
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee recommends adoption of Agenda Item 1-1-20.
Do we have any public comment on this item? Commissioner discussion? And call roll, please.
Commissioner Glazer?
Yes.
Twilliger?
Yes.
Geisler?
Yes.
Dorian?
Yes.
Noson?
Yes.
Snyder?
Yes.
Chairman Bone?
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, motion carries.
Committee report number 7, please.
Dated January 16th, 2020, properly addressed. Ladies and gentlemen, we, your Finance Committee, recommend approval of the attached resolution regarding Four Lakes Special Assessment District Notes, Series 2020. Respectfully submitted, Scott Noson, Chairperson, James Geisler, Jeanette Snyder, Finance Committee.
Commissioner Noson.
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee recommends adoption of Agenda Item 5-1-20.
Do we have any public comment on this
We need
item?
a second on that.
Pardon me? Oh, yes, I'm sorry. We do need a second on that.
Support.
Thank you very much. Any public comment? Commissioner discussion? Yes, Commissioner Noson.
I'd like to invite Dave to come on up and give us a kind of an update on where we are with the resolution
Thank
and
you.
the whole task force.
Thank you. I know this is a big project for the county to have oversight over, so I thought we'd do a quick summary and then talk about the resolutions we're looking for. So the Four Lakes Task Force and the Four Lakes Operating Company signed an agreement with Boyce at the end of the year to purchase all the lake assets and power generation assets for $16 million. 9.4 of that is for the lake level assets, facilities to manage lake levels, and $6.6 million of power generation facilities that will be purchased by the Four Lakes Operations Company. This $9.4 million will be financed through special assessment district funds, and hence the bond. And then $6.6 million will be funded from Four Lakes Operations and basically financed by power generation option. So there's still a fair amount of a couple-year program to figure out all that part and how it's going to work out, but that's where we currently are at. The final closing is planned for January 2022. That's 2 years earlier than we had told in the May activity. The first payment is $2.5 million will occur by the end of January, or the next few weeks. We're still, while the agreement's in place, we now have to get the other counterparties, specifically consumers and Boyce's banks, to kind of sign off on the contract, and we need to get the purchase agreement with consumers solidified before we're going to go into a contract with financing on their stuff. So we think that's under control for the next few weeks. We've performed significant diligence over the summer, and you've seen that the estimates from the preliminary study for repairs has increased. It's gone from $7.3 million to $20 million almost. A couple things is we've taken over most of the compliance, almost all the compliance for Boyce to perform. So initially the idea was he was going to perform some. Our belief is that we have to lower the risk of the project by us performing it. And we've identified all the long-term and short-term repairs beyond the current FERC compliance. So the original study was based on the 12D FERC compliance. So it's what it takes to get in compliance. But when you go into diligence, it's like going into a house inspection. And there are things there that are, even though they're not in the FERC compliance, we feel for the safety of the workers. Anything small, like from making sure there's safety rails that are firmly attached to, hey, the gate hoists and gates need to likely be replaced at some point in time. All those costs were put in, so this is a kind of an all-in number of the repairs we believe we need. There's $4.3 million of that 20 that's required for spillway capacity increases on Edenville and Secord Lake. These are beyond the upgrades that are included in the other numbers, spillway capacity upgrades to manage to state levels. But these are that number we think we're going to try to finance through hydro or make a choice to not do it. But there's some issues around where these lake level requirements going federally, and we just want to make sure we've got enough contingency in the capacity not to have a problem 5 or 10 years from now. So that's an uncertain spending we have right now, but driven primarily by power and would be likely financed by power. So all that being said, there's about $1.8 million to be spent this year on design engineering. So we've had preliminary estimates to get to a final number to finance. By the end of the year, we'll have a full design package, and then we'll take it out for bidding, and then we'll bring it out in the early part of the year for starting the construction. We have some emergency construction occurring, like on Wixom this year. But that pushes the special assessment district, the assessment decision and approval of the rolls by the commissioners here to likely mid-2021 rather than early 2021, as we'd said. But the project itself, to get everything repaired and completed, is still on a track for the end of 2023. What we're requesting for today, well, let me just add one more point, because I know there's a little bit of math here. We had shown in our models back in May at the time of the preliminary report that the average assessment district, or the average assessment for a lake home, over the course of the 20-year bond would be about $350 per lake home on lakefront property. That number still is the same. And how could it be that way when you double the construction cost? Well, if you look at the drivers, it's about $15 an assessment per year for every $1 million we spend on this project. It's about $150 a year for every $1 million we spend on operations. So this dam has an operating cost somewhere in the $500,000 to $1.1, $1.2 million. So if we get hydro on it and take that number down to zero, then we have a different number. And if we don't have it, then we'll have a higher number. So I sent you a range. That's our kind of medium point of our model. And we're working through that. So that we were very, very conservative because we didn't have the flow rates, the data to calculate all these. We had the rate calculations, but we didn't have the actual data from consumers that we got in this process to really figure out how much power. So we're much more optimistic on the power generation. This midpoint assumes that Edenville doesn't get its license back, and likely Smallwood doesn't, and we'd have to operate those, Secord doesn't, and we'd likely have to operate those dams without power and let Smallwood and Sanford. So that gets us to a middle number. So it gets better if we get more power. It gets worse if we get less power and stuff to work through. So what we're requesting today is that we have accelerated some of the interim financing. We have the state money, but it won't get us all the way through 2021. And so we need some contingency, so we're looking for interim financing. That's primarily driven because we are trying to move the end date up in 2022, and we are trying to make sure we address the key critical issues on Wixom Lake and Edenville Dam this year, so we move money up and funding an interim. So you have the resolution really has two pieces of it. One is approval for financing the Four Lakes Assessment District through an issuance of bonds that anticipation notes not to exceed $8 million to make sure we can get through the phase where we do the final assessment and roll thing. And that final number is not to exceed $35 million. There's a fair amount of contingency in that, but we're trying to be conservative not to revisit what we have. And the second thing is to provide the full faith and credit to the project from the county. We are having a similar meeting in Gladwin County. Either it's right now scheduled, but because of the Secord got snowed out, and so the Secord Township meeting got snowed out, so we got to figure out what the timing is. But we're right now on the schedule to meet with them, either in this meeting or the next meeting type of program. So with that, I appreciate all your consideration. I think we've passed out a fair amount of material. We have later updates if you want, but I also have with me, behind me, Ron Hansen, the project engineer, Tammy McGovern, our CFO, Laura Bassett of Clark Hill, who's our bond attorney, and Bobby Beninsky, the municipal finance advisor. I'm sure that a couple of them have been here before you on other projects. So if there's any questions, we'd be happy to answer.
Any questions? Commissioner Geisler.
Consumers is the only buyer. Detroit Edison is not involved.
Right, correct. So this is a special carve out for about 8 small dams we were able to facilitate. So it's based on a capacity. So the reality is consumer has a contract with Boyce until 2023. And so there's several companies. So it's not a bidding thing. This is, we carved out these projects to get a favorable rate over solar and wind, to be honest. And so this is a fairly competitive rate for helping reinvestment on hydro dams.
Council?
Yeah, Dave, would you perhaps reiterate or maybe explain the county's obligation under these bonds? Laura can help.
Yeah, maybe Laura, you want to kind of do that.
You're on the hook.
Right, we'll get it right. I am bond counsel, thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for the question. So this resolution, again, the full faith and credit pledge, which is, I believe, your question, that provides the county's obligation, if you want to call it that, to these interim notes. is simply that it's a pledge of the full faith and credit, so that in the event, again, that, you know, these interim bond anticipation notes are being issued in anticipation of and will be payable from proceeds of the long-term bonds once those are issued. And so in the event that bonds are not issued, and in the event that that special assessments are not sufficiently collected, which is the source of payment for the bonds themselves, then the county would be obligated to cover its share of the proceeds of the notes, or of the principal of the notes. So Midland right now, we're looking at about 20% of this project responsibility, Gladwin 80%. So this county would be responsible again for its share if that ever came up. And you can think of it, I mean, this is a somewhat rare project. You can say not unique, but rare. But if you think of it like you do, say, a drain project in your county, where you have a special assessment district, sometimes, not always, but sometimes the county will put its full faith and credit pledge behind those notes or bonds on behalf of the drainage district, and just as security, and that helps. And county's financial advisor, probably Vincent's here too. He can talk about the marketing of that, the full faith and credit pledge versus not, but nonetheless, that's what you're being asked to do. So is to just put that pledge behind it in the event the monies are not available. The resolution has language. Two things I just want to point out. One is that you then have any remedies by law to get reimbursed for that if you do have to put forth that. You are limited. This is a limited tax full faith and credit pledge, so you are limited by constitutional and statutory limitations. You don't need to raise taxes above those limitations to cover this. And the last point is that full faith and credit pledge will only take effect if the County of Gladwin also adopts a similar resolution. Yes.
Commissioner Nelson.
So in the unlikely event that Gladwin would default, are we pledging the full faith and credit on the 100%?
You are not. You are not. Only to the 20% that this county is responsible for.
Who's responsible for that 80%? They go through legal means?
The County of Gladwin, yes. I mean.
Okay.
Any other questions? Commissioner Twilliger.
Yes, when will we know that a report back to us that the meeting did indeed take place with Gladwin and that everything was kosher and the ability to move forward? So this could be in the next couple of weeks then?
Sure. And we are, as Mr. Kepler pointed out, I mean, we're working just because of the weather cancellation this past weekend with Gladwin, but that will certainly take place within the next couple of weeks, and we're happy to forward a certified resolution as soon as it's available. Yes.
I would add maybe just another point, because we also have a contract between the two counties that are getting together, so we really can't, so we can stage these resolutions, but we still have a contract that both parties have to be in before we start. And so we have an agreement, but both counties have to bring their full faith and credit and stuff. So if you approve this, we expect we're hoping no later in January, but no worst case would be middle of February probably. We would have the county of Gladwin approval, but we weren't going to start. We can't start without them. Okay, and is what I would say from that point in terms of your commitment.
Thank you. Any other questions? And call roll, please. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Twilliger.
Yes.
Geisler.
Yes.
Dorian.
Yes.
Noson.
Yes.
Snyder.
Yes.
Glazer.
Yes.
Chairman Bone.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, motion carries.
Committee report number 8, please.
Dated January 16, 2020, properly addressed, ladies and gentlemen, we, your Human Services Committee, recommend approval of the revised job description and scoring completed by Municipal Consulting Services, LLC, for the Assistant Planner position in the Emergency Management Department. Respectfully submitted, Eric Dorian, Chairperson, Gay Twilliger, Steve Glazer, Human Services Committee.
Commissioner Dorian.
Mr. Chairman, the Human Services Committee recommends adoption of Agenda Item 93-10-19.
Do we have any public comment on this? Any commissioner discussion? Commissioner Glazer.
Mr. Chairman, I think this is a rework of a job description, but this is a position funded by grants. So it will be in effect only for the time that we have the grants coming in, just as a reminder to us all. So,
Thank you. Any other discussion? And call roll, please.
Commissioner Geisler.
Yes.
Dorian.
Yes.
Noson.
Yes.
Snyder.
Yes.
Glazer.
Yes.
Twilliger.
Yes.
Chairman Bone.
Yes.
7 yes, 0 no, motion carries.
That's it for our standing committee reports. We do not have any RPCs. We have no old business, no new business that I'm aware of. We'll move on to commissioner comments, and we'll start with Commissioner Snyder.
I do want to thank the Four Lakes Task Force for coming, and again, just the open clarification of information. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Glazer?
Yes, I would like to build on Commissioner Snyder's remarks. I did attend the communication meeting for the assessment district. I thought that it went very well. There were a few contentious speakers' questions, which I guess is not unexpected, but given the impact and the size of the people, the audience that was there, the participants, I thought that it went very, very well. I think all questions appeared to be answered to the satisfaction of the participants there, and I think that we're making good progress, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Twilliger?
Yes, sorry that I was unable to attend, but it's really, really good to hear that it went well. One does worry about those types of things with regard to our constituents. And I'm thankful to have a tangible product, so I always appreciate those things, Tammy. And I think that you were sort of earmarking that. And I thank you, Bridget, for printing that. And so that gives me something to kind of look back onto as a reference point. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Geisler?
No comment.
Commissioner Dorian?
I'd just like to thank the Mary C. Curry Foundation for its pledge to our parks and mosquito operations, and as well to congratulate Mary Cornell for stepping up and helping the city out with their issues.
Thank you. Commissioner Noson?
Just on the Four Lakes Task Force, again, I want to thank Dave and the team. There's a lot of moving parts to this, and you cannot over-communicate on this, and I think you guys do a spectacular job on communication, so thank you so much.
And staying with that theme, I'll say thank you also. I know you guys all put a lot of hard work into it. You're protecting our property values for all those houses on the lake, which is very, very much appreciated. And not to make light of it, but we're keeping the costs down somewhat reasonable as we can for all those homeowners. So we took a bad situation, and I think we came out of it okay, to say the least. So thanks again. That's it for my comments. We're going to go into meeting schedules and start with Commissioner Snyder.
Are we going up to the 4th?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, I have Road Commission on the 23rd that I'll be attending. I did also put a handout in your packet, in your mailboxes, that I meant to give you last week. That's it for me. I'll be attending finance too on the 28th.
Thank you. Commissioner Glazer?
Yes, this Thursday afternoon, I have a meeting in Clare at the Mid-Michigan Community Action Group. They'll be meeting at 3 o'clock, which is a little earlier than normal. Tuesday on the 28th in Mount Pleasant, I'll have a meeting with the Community Health Group of Central Michigan. And then on Monday, under the astounding leadership of Mr. Dorian, we'll have another Human Services Committee meeting.
Thank you. Commissioner Twilliger?
Yes, this being the last week of the month, my meeting schedule is lighter, and I'm really pleased to say that our drug court meeting, which will be not this week but next week on Thursday, and we're going to have 3 graduations, and that's really a big deal to have 3, and they're very for all the work and all the effort that goes into the members of drug court and judge, and it's a celebration day. So really looking forward to having that. I don't know that we've had 3 in a row, so it's a big deal. You're all welcome to come, and I will look and see what the date on that is, because I should have that. Sorry about that. It's gonna be the 30th. So, and court is at, the meetings are at 8:30 and court starts at 10:30. It's gonna be a good day. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Geisler.
Yes, A&O Committee will meet on the 28th at 2:30 PM in the Fishbowl.
Thank you. Commissioner Dorian.
Human Services is scheduled to meet January 27th, which is a Monday at 2 o'clock in the first floor conference room. That's all I have.
Commissioner Noson.
Yeah, tomorrow at 9:30 at City Hall, the Health and Human Services is providing their yearly update. I would encourage you all to come. They put in some good work on the 4 focus areas throughout the year. Michigan Works at 3:30 on Monday, the 27th at Great Hall. Finance Committee will meet also at 1:30 on the 28th. And I may have a MAC Finance meeting on the 31st. I'm not sure if they've scheduled that or pushed it off. That's it.
Thank you. I also will be attending the CHIP update tomorrow, 9:30 at City Hall. The following day, the 23rd, I have Midland Kids First, 3:30 PM at the Juvenile Center. And on Monday, the 27th at 3:30 PM, also at the Midland Business, I'm attending the Midland Business Alliance Board meeting at the MBA office. So that's all I have. So at this point, I'd be looking for a motion to go to closed session.
Move to go into closed session, discuss labor negotiations.
Support. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Okay, at this point, we're going to go into closed session to discuss labor negotiations.
Thank you.
I move to go back into full meeting.
To open session.
Support.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. We are now back in open session, and we do have an item of new business.
So moved.
A motion to take up an item of new business. Do we have support?
Support.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. And would you read that item of new business, please?
Yes. Dated January 21st, properly addressed, ladies and gentlemen, I recommend approval of the tentative agreement between the Midland County Sheriff and Police Officers Association of Michigan on behalf of the Midland Corrections Deputies Association and the Midland Board of Commissioners. The union has informed us that their membership has ratified this agreement. Respectfully submitted, Eric Dorian, Midland County Board of Commissioners, District Number 6.
Commissioner Dorian.
Move to accept the agreement between Midland County Sheriff's Corrections and the county.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment on this? Commissioner discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Okay, that is approved, and that is the end of our business.
Move to adjourn.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. This meeting is adjourned until Tuesday, February 4th, 2020, at 9 a.m. to meet in a regular session of the Board of Commissioners and for the committees to resume their duties. Thank you. Everybody have a great day.